Hello friends, welcome to SETI Botany classes. I am Dr. Meena Sethi. Today we will study how complementary DNA library is formed. In the previous video, we studied about genomic DNA library. As we have discussed, genome is the entire DNA of an organism. In eukaryotes, DNA is made up of coding and non-coding sequences. Coding sequences are also called as exons, and non-coding sequences are called as introns. Coding sequences which can form amino acid, and amino acid will form protein. So these are exons which can code and form protein, and these are introns which are non-coding sequences, and they will not be able to form amino acids and protein. And this is the 5' direction of DNA, and this is the 3' direction of DNA. So when we have studied about genomic DNA library, because genome is made up of coding and non-coding sequences, so it would always become difficult to separate non-coding region from the coding region. Because when we process the gene, we will have to remove the introns, and exon will join to form a process gene. So in genomic DNA, this becomes difficult to separate non-coding region from the coding region. So there is another alternative. We can go for complementary DNA library formation. So what are the basic requirements for the complementary DNA library formation? First, we have to get messenger RNA for this complementary DNA library. And another requirements are we need to have a primer. Primer is basically a short segment of DNA, which is made up of 12 to 8 base pairs of nucleotides. And this may be rich in deoxythymidine residues. In addition to this, we must require certain nitrogenous bases, deoxyribose nitrogenous bases. Now, these can be adenosine triphosphate, guanosine triphosphate, thymidine triphosphate, and cytidine triphosphate. Then buffer is required. Buffer is which will resist the change in the pH. Then messenger RNA we have already discussed. This is the major requirement. DNA polymerase 1 for adding the bases of nitrogen. S1 nuclease enzyme. Then DNA ligase for gluing DNA segments. Before starting complementary DNA library preparation, we must know the structure of messenger RNA. Now, this part is the cap region at the 5' end, non-coding region 1. And from here, coding region start. And this coding region is up to this part. Now, from where initiation occur, this is called as initiation codon. And where termination occur, this is called as termination codon. Now, this is non-coding region 2. This part is called as poly A tail. And this is very important for separation of messenger RNA poly A tail. Now, when we are going to form complementary DNA library, first we have to extract total RNA from our cells of interest. Total RNA means messenger RNA, ribosomal RNA, and transfer RNA. Now, from total RNA, we have to separate messenger RNA. So this can be done by magnetic separation method. We will take paramagnetic beads which may have oligo-DT groups. Now those beads are binded to oligo-DT groups, and when we use total RNA solution, out of the total RNA, these magnetic beads will take up messenger RNA because messenger RNA has poly A tail. That poly A tail will bind to oligo-DT groups, and from those magnetic beads we can isolate the messenger RNA. That messenger RNA can be further converted to DNA with the help of enzyme avian myeloblastosis reverse transcriptase. Now, this enzyme will help in formation of DNA from the messenger RNA. So, this is also called as reverse transcription, or we can call it as reverse genetics also, because usually from DNA, messenger RNA is produced. This process is called as transcription. But when from messenger RNA DNA is being produced, this is called as reverse transcription. So what is the exact procedure for the formation of complementary DNA library? Now this is the messenger RNA whose structure we have already studied, that this will have 5' end, and this will be 3' end, and this is the poly A tail part, which also help in extraction of the messenger RNA from the total RNA. Now here we will use a primer. Primer is just a small segment of DNA having certain base pairs from where DNA synthesis will start. And this will be done with the help of reverse transcriptase. Supposing this strand has C over here, G, then opposite to C, G will be produced. Opposite to G, C will be produced. If here it is U, then A will be produced. If here T, then A will be produced. So in this way, after primer formation, this DNA synthesis will continue and a single stranded DNA will be produced. And this is done with the help of AMV, reverse transcriptase. Now this is the single stranded DNA which has been created from this messenger RNA by the enzyme AMV, reverse transcriptase. Opposite to AAA, TTT will be produced. And this is the 3' end and this will be the 5' end. Now this single stranded DNA is also called as complementary DNA because this is being generated along with RNA. So first RNA DNA hybrid is generated. From RNA DNA, we have to separate the RNA. So RNA will be degraded either by heat treatment or by alkali treatment, or we can also have enzyme ribonuclease H, which will help in removal of the RNA. So from this hybrid, RNA is removed or degraded, then we will have only single strand of the complementary DNA. Now, this complementary DNA will also act as a template for the formation of DNA. So bases will start adding at this end with the help of enzyme DNA polymerase 1. This will start adding bases and we will get a double stranded DNA with the help of DNA polymerase 1, and this is created double stranded DNA along with a loop. This is hairpin loop which is being created. Now this has to be removed. After this completion of double stranded DNA, this hairpin loop will be cut with the help of enzyme S1 nuclease and we will get double stranded DNA. Now this double stranded DNA which we have created from the single stranded DNA, and this single stranded DNA we have produced from the messenger RNA by a process called as reverse transcription. Now this formation of complementary DNA from messenger RNA, because here messenger RNA doesn't have any non-coding sequences, so this whole gene can express and double stranded DNA can be multiplied inside the vectors. Now this process we have already discussed. First we will use the primer. This will get annealed to 3' poly A tail of the messenger RNA. Then reverse transcriptase will bring elongation of the primer and single stranded DNA will be produced called as complementary DNA because this is being produced on the RNA. So this is also called as RNA DNA hybrid. Now RNA will be degraded by ribonuclease H or by alkali or heating treatment, and single stranded complementary DNA is generated. Now single stranded will be converted into double stranded with the help of DNA polymerase 1, and during this whole process a hairpin loop is generated. Now this hairpin loop will be cut with the help of S1 nuclease. This we have already discussed, and ultimately we will get double stranded DNA. Now this double stranded DNA can be multiplied inside suitable vectors. So we can use plasmid vector or we can also get lambda GT vectors. Whatever vectors we are using, they should have sites for restriction enzyme so that restriction enzymes can cut at specific places, and at those places we can insert our DNA which we have created during complementary DNA library formation. Now here we are using lambda GT vectors which may have sites for restriction enzyme EcoRI. Now this EcoI mean this has been extracted from the Escherichia coli. R is the strain and 1 is the number. So after cutting particular vector, we will insert our DNA. When we will cut the vector, then we also treat those vectors with alkaline phosphatase for removal of phosphate from the 5' end. Then we'll insert our DNA and then we will use the enzyme DNA ligase. So when we have inserted into vector, that vector will multiply inside the bacteria or inside the phage. Multiplication will occur and many copies of DNA will be produced. So we will get clones of DNA which has been created from the messenger RNA. So when clones are produced, we have got multiple copies of DNA. So we we have made complementary DNA library. So these complementary DNA libraries or complementary DNA clones can be introduced into the host system for amplification of the complementary DNA clones. So complementary DNA library has been generated. From complementary DNA library, whatever DNA we want to pick for any experiment, for genetic engineering, for research purpose, or for study of any chemicals, for studying of gene expression, so we can use that. So this is called as complementary DNA library. Now, complementary DNA library is different from genomic DNA library because it does not have any non-coding region. Whole part of the DNA can code. I mean, this can form the protein. Now, this also shows, complementary DNA also shows direct expression in the prokaryotes. And this is also useful for isolation of genes that code for particular messenger RNA used in study of reverse genetics. Now, another aspect is if we compare complementary DNA with genomic DNA, in genomic DNA, we have exon, intron. So we have total DNA. But in case of complementary DNA, we don't have introns. We don't have full detail of the DNA. This is the only difference. Otherwise, complementary DNA has all over coding sequences. So we can make complementary DNA clones and store them. And this will be used as complementary DNA library. Thank you for listening to me. If you have enjoyed my video, then please like, share, and subscribe.